What?
Where are you off to, buddy?
I'm going home.
Are you?
Yes.
What's in the suitcase?
A Hollander beater.
What's that for?
Beating things.
Like what?
Pulp.
You're
Beating people to pulp.
You're a little bit dodgy, aren't you?
No.
How about you open that up and show me what's in there?
Okay. There it is.
Alright, and what do you do with that then?
Beat paper pulp. It's a paper making machine.
Really?
Welcome to part 21 of paper making with Mark Hollander, and today we're going to be looking at the use of your little critter Hollander beater. Part 17 was the unboxing, how to put the motor on, how to assemble it, but today we're going to be looking at it in use. So imagine this is your first day of receiving your machine. We're going to look at some of the pitfalls and how to start. One of the comments on part 17 was, but we didn't see it in action. Well, today we will. I've set the Hollander up on a table outside, and it's good to put it maybe in a place under a porch, but the reason why is it's a wet machine, and there's always going to be pulp spillages, there's always going to be water somewhere, and outside, who cares? It's good. The first thing we do is check the table is level. So I'm using a level here to make sure the table is reasonably level. Now we fill it with water up to the level. If we look under here, we can see that the water level is just up to the top part of the bed plate. So that's a functioning water level. Now when the machine is new, there will be some very slight seeping at the seams. This is nothing to worry about, this is normal. And as soon as pulp gets into that machine, those little holes will seal up. If you're worried, just sit the machine on a towel, like that. Now, for the first batch, I recommend throwing in any old paper scraps that you've got. Just toss them in. And they'll want to be drawn in at the back of the machine. Hear that sound? That's just normal. It'll want to circulate round and round. Now, don't be afraid to poke a stick up there if you need to. Oop. You can turn down that main screw. So you hear a that sound. Keep throwing that pulp in there until it chokes, and you know you've overloaded it. So you can pull some out it circulating happily like this, you can just leave it and keep the air out for it. You can take that out and just use a baler to tip it into like a basket lined with mesh. Now normally you'd have the drain in the lower side here, and that it out, and then you pull it over to the side of the table and get the last of it out. We're going to cut up some cotton rag, so I've folded a bed sheet into a wad, and this bandsaw blade is very sharp. I've ground the teeth off it. If you want to see that, look at part 3, paper making with Mark Lander part 3. So I'm going to cut it into strips and then into squares. Right, in goes the cotton rag. And a load is just covering the bottom of the tub dry. Make sure it is cotton. Part 3 shows you a burn test where you just burn it, and if it burns cleanly it's cotton. If it beads up and smokes, it's polycotton. Don't start with old t-shirts because they are more knitted than woven, and they're designed not to come apart very easily. But old bed sheets you get from the second-hand shops, and it doesn't matter if they're ripped or torn, they're fine. They'll do fine. There we go, a load. Right, the rag's in, water level to level, and turn the main screw up so there's a bit of a gap there because we don't want it stalling with the rag. Now, rag alone, when you're starting off, is problematic. It will sink to the bottom of the water and it won't circulate. So you spend ages stirring it. It's not ideal. So what I do is I add some pulp from the previous batch. So just add it to the mix, and that pulp helps get everything in suspension. It's an old trick, and you hardly ever have to stir it. It's clever. Do you hear that thumping, bumping sound? That's good. Feels a little bit overloaded, so I'll just take some out. That's better. 10 minutes is up. Got my stopwatch here. 10 minutes and 37 seconds. And you can see that that rag is really beginning to disintegrate. Look at it. It's just absolutely falling to bits after 10 minutes. Don't be afraid of the machine. Let it bump, let it thump. You can't break it. It is a very, very tough machine. Even though it looks a bit scary, this is what it's supposed to be doing. You take that down to the lowest level as in sort of quickly as you can, and then you just let it run. Here we go, we've reached 20 minutes. And you'll notice that it's not jumping around as much. So that does settle down to a reasonably sane level. And if we look at the pulp, you can see there's virtually no more pieces of rag left. It's just threads, just like that. This machine is designed for this. It's designed for extreme cotton rag and extreme fibre from plants. The pulp's done. After 2 hours, it's now nice and smooth. And for the last 5 minutes of the beat, I've raised the roll up. And you know when you beat pulp, you get little beater knots. And they act as like little, you know, I don't like beater knots. But raising the roll in the last 5 minutes disperses those beater knots into nice smooth pulp. If I was making watermark paper, I would just leave it running for much longer. And some people just have the pulp hanging down a millimetre or so. But this is the way I like it, so that will do for me. How it suits you is up to you when it's ready. So I'll empty this and then we'll put on another batch of botanicals and see what happens. We're having fun today. This is great. Well, here's the next batch. This is New Zealand Flax. It's been cooked in caustic soda. If you look at episode 2, you can see how to harvest and prepare this. Giving it a poke with a stick. Well, that took a little bit of stirring to get it going because it was such big hunks which were all built up behind the beater roll, but with a good poke of the stick and a good stirring and letting it go round and round for a while, and now it's going okay. So it's not all straightforward. You have to sort of figure it out, but now it's pulping quite nicely. And the biggest problem here is residual caustic soda in that cooked plant, and it will cause it to foam and froth, which means the pulp just floats up to the surface and it won't circulate. So what I do is just empty the machine, drain it, wash the pulp and put it back in with clean water, and that usually fixes the problem. Well, here we go, just as we suspected. The pulp has floated up to the surface and stalled. Here we go, rinsed out, back in. I think it's done. After an hour, all that rough botanicals is now as I want it. You might like it differently. Okay. Well, there we have the little critter Hollander beater, warts and all. And I have built, and my little team I've been training have built up to 1,000 of these. So stacked end to end, they're quite high. And they're like a workhorse. So thank you so much, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Very clever if it fits in a suitcase.
This isn't a real policeman. This is Rod, my apprentice, dressed up as a policeman. Look at him, he's even in his gumboots. We better not be caught impersonating a policeman, eh?
Why not?
Oh, that's right, you used to be one.
Oh, that's all right.